An API isn't complete without ways of doing certain things. We've looked at post, we've looked at get already, where we bring everything out, but we haven't looked at when we want to have a single resource returned to us. We can also delete everything, and we can also delete a single resource. It's dangerous to delete everything, but there are cases where we can do that. We can also do the same for part updates. We can update everything. Of course, not at once. This would be, of course, using some kind of loop. We can also update a single resource as well. Patches can also be updated for everything, and we can also update a single resource as well. All right. Now, how do we get a single resource? One way of doing this is we could type it all out. We could assume that items will always have maybe an ID of 1, perhaps. And when it comes in, we could respond item store items, with the first item, right? So let's try that out. And when we visit the first item, sorry, we change it to get, we get that first item, taking kids to school. Yeah, all counting starts at 0, so we still need to kind of have that. So we can't seem to get that first one, but okay, let's get that first thing here. Let's also get the second thing. All right, we can't seem to get the second thing because, one, we do not have the URLs. We could always do something like this. We could maybe keep changing to 2, and then this means maybe getting a second item, right? So let's try. So when you try that, it returns that. But this is not sustainable. You can't do this for 1,000 records. And there's a syntax for getting a single item, and that syntax is usually starting with a colon, followed by maybe something like ID. And this name can be anything, really. For now, let's go in here and let's try to log. It's known as a parameter, so let's look at the params of this thing, and yeah, let's try that. Let's go to 1, and let's send a get request. And when we look at the log, this is what the parameter looks like, right? ID. And so you need to do some little smart stuff. So for example, you can maybe say to get the ID, you type request.params, and with objects we can use dot notation. So this object here can be accessed by using .id, and let's do that quickly. Say .id, and so this one will always return to us something with the ID of that. But what you notice about this ID, right? You notice that it is put in quotations, so we kind of need to transform this into some kind of number. In this case, an integer seems more prudent, and right now our app will work for all kinds of values. It will return the first one, it will return the second one. What happens if we put like 1,000 on it? It will go on forever. Well, there's no bug for it because, one, that item does not exist. We can try to log and see. So let's get rid of this log and let's log item store items and ID and see what happens. So when we send this at the very bottom here, we get undefined. So this is where you have to kind of do a bit of validation, right? And one nice way is perhaps storing it here, where we have item store items, and we put that here, and then we test to see, well, if the item is undefined. In other words, if that is true, we're going to respond perhaps with an error, right? Like item not found. And you guessed it, if The opposite would be sending that response back. So we shall type response JSON and the item goes back. Let's get rid of these ones because we're just using them for debugging. And let's try out our code. So let's send that. See that error? Then for items that do exist, we get appropriate items. Let's try 0. Yeah, and so on. Well, this is how we might do a single GET request. And it's kind of similar for the deletions, which we shall look at shortly. Thank you.